Chapter 1846. Obtaining Primordial Origins, True Inheritance. 1846. Obtaining Primordial Origins' True Inheritance. After spending a lot of effort, Duke Long finally reached an agreement with Fang Yuan. The two rank 8s of Eastern Sea, Song Qi Yuan and Shun Tsung Sheng, watched the process but could not stop them. Duke Long not only compensated Fang Yuan a large amount of Qi path cultivation resources, most importantly, he even gave one primordial origin true inheritance to Qi Sea ancestor. This made the two Eastern Sea immortals helpless, but they also could not help but admire Duke Long's resolution. Of course, they only made a fraction of the transaction on the spot. Qi Sea ancestor, which was Fang Yuan's disguise, agreed on a truce with Heavenly Court. They would coexist now. Heavenly Court would also hand over the resources gradually. As for primordial origins true inheritance, it would also be handed over in portions. After all, neither side was following any alliance agreement. They finally finished their negotiation, but not only did Fang Yuan not leave, he led the way for them. Fang Yuan is trying to get Dragon Palace now. Duke Long, maybe your Heavenly Court will be able to resolve your enmity with him today. Fang Yuan smiled as he said. From his expression, he looked like someone who was going to watch the show by the side, but Fang Yuan decided to stop stalling for time. If he continued wasting time, Duke Long and the two Eastern Sea immortals might sense something. In that case, he should grasp this situation firmly instead. They did not set any alliance agreements anyway. When it is time to fight, Fang Yuan will attack directly. As for those negotiations they made, who cares? Duke Long flew straight. He looked calm and composed. He replied plainly, if that really happens, we will have one less problem ahead. The two Eastern Sea immortals looked at each other. This matter concerned Dragon Palace. They were not going to leave yet. When the entire group reached the location where Dragon Palace was hidden after diving into the depths of the sea, Dragon Palace had vanished already. Was Dragon Palace really here? The Eastern Sea immortals did not believe it. They were suspicious that Fang Yuan had brought them to a wrong location, but they did not dare to say it. Duke Long did not suspect that, even though Fang Yuan brought them here, this was the route that Fairy Ziwei had deduced as well. There were no deviations. It seems that Dragon Palace really flew away. Duke Long sighed. Fang Yuan smiled. It is truly a pity. If Dragon Palace was taken by Fang Yuan, your Heavenly Court would have lost to him once again. Fang Yuan had the expression of a curious and excited bystander. He tried to provoke Duke Long with words. Duke Long replied plainly. He was completely unaffected, because he knew a lot about Dragon Palace. Back then when his descendant created it, it was designed such that only a dragon man could become the Dragon Palace Lord. In that case, Duke Long, who had the killer move Dragon Man Extermination, was basically holding a trump card against it. If Fang Yuan really subdued Dragon Palace, he would have either turned himself into a dragon man, or had a dragon man subordinate. Fang Yuan is a vigilant person who was reborn from the future. There is little chance that he turned himself into a dragon man. But even so, my dragon man extermination can kill one of his capable subordinates. But killing is just an added bonus. The key is to retrieve Dragon Palace. Even though I failed this time, it was not completely without gains. At least I managed to improve Qi Sea ancestor and Heavenly Court's relationship. There might even be a chance of recruiting Qi Sea ancestor in the future. As for Dragon Palace, now that it has appeared, it will definitely leave clues behind. I will find it once more. Sigh. Fang Yuan's advantage from using rebirth is too great. He could set up arrangements in advance to strike early. I was late in this contest over Dragon Palace. Duke Long thought about it for a while. He was not in a hurry to use Dragon Man Extermination yet. This trump card was best saved for a crucial moment in the future, to catch Fang Yuan off guard. Of course, Duke Long also thought that Fang Yuan might know about Dragon Man Extermination. But if he knew, he would be guarded against it. Duke Long would not gain much from activating it. Regardless, not using it now was still a wise decision for Duke Long. I cannot let Dragon Palace fall into Fang Yuan's hands. The matter of retrieving Dragon Palace and dealing with Fang Yuan should be considered one problem. Fang Zheng, who is useful against Fang Yuan, should be saved first. Thinking so, Duke Long approached Shun Tsung Sheng. Jiyu Fang Zheng was currently in Shun Tsung Sheng's hands. Shun Tsung Sheng was already prepared for it. He was not surprised by Duke Long's request. After all, His Shen clan and Duke Long's heavenly court were both in the righteous path. They handled matters similarly. Shen Songsheng was willing to undergo transaction with Duke Long, of course, exchanging Guyu Fangzheng for a lot of benefits. He had no interest in Guyu Fangzheng. He was useless anyway. Shen Songsheng was secretly excited. He decided to extort Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court was extremely affluent. He had seen the conversation earlier. Fang Yuan watched by the side and was slightly moved too. But if he competed against Duke Long now, it would not be a good idea. Firstly, he had just arrived at an agreement with Duke Long. If he acts against him now, this would go against Qi Si ancestor's character. Secondly, Fang Yuan was not confident in competing with Heavenly Court. If he tried to kill Shen Songsheng to snatch Fang Zheng away, the chances were very slim. However, Fang Yuan did not give up. He secretly transmitted to Shen Songsheng and inquired. Shen Songsheng heard that Qi Si ancestor was also interested in Fang Zheng. He quickly replied, "To speak the truth, I had just soul-searched Fang Zheng. I know about his recent encounters. It seems that he indeed counters Fang Yuan. Some way or another, he manages to exert negative influence on Fang Yuan." Bright light shined in Fang Yuan's eyes as he immediately asked Shen Songsheng secretly, "Even though this Fang Yuan is only rank 7, and I have only met him once, he left a deep impression on me. Since Fang Zheng counters Fang Yuan, you should keep him and negotiate with Fang Yuan. After all, he has many venerable true inheritances in his hands. If you really transact with Heavenly Court, will they want to give you venerable true inheritances?" Fang Yuan attempted to convince Shen Songsheng to keep Fang Zheng so that he could find a chance to strike. After all, the difficulty of planning to take Fang Zheng, who was in Shen Songsheng's hands, was completely different from him being in Heavenly Court's hands. Shen Songsheng answered very quickly. He did not dare to keep Fang Yuan waiting. He smiled. "Ancestor is right. This is a good suggestion." He said that as he turned to Duke Long. "If Heavenly Court wants Fang Zheng back, give me a venerable true inheritance." Ha ha ha. Duke Long laughed loudly in amusement. "Oh Shen Songsheng, you are too greedy. Do you think you are on the same level as Qi Si? Friend Qi Si was able to get a venerable true inheritance through fighting and gaining my acknowledgement. If you can get a venerable true inheritance from just trading a captive, wouldn't you be treating Qi Si as a joke? Shen Songsheng, watch your attitude. If you still have unrealistic goals, then let's have a fight first." Duke Long's change of attitude was very clear. He spoke domineeringly, completely different from when he spoke to Fang Yuan. Shen Songsheng felt a little troubled. Duke Long was very eloquent. He purposely mentioned Qi Si ancestor, praising him and using this as a bargaining chip. But Shen Songsheng had done soul search on Fang Zheng. He understood the value that this person had. He smiled coldly as he said without fear, "Duke Long, I know that I am not your match, but so what? You can defeat me, but you cannot kill me now. Furthermore, Fang Zheng is in my hands. I can kill him with a single thought. If you do not want to give a venerable true inheritance, what do you want to offer? Let me see Heavenly Court's sincerity." Shen Songsheng was not stupid. He spoke in a tone mixed with hard and soft words. He had taken a step back and stopped requesting for a venerable true inheritance forcefully. After all, Duke Long was much stronger than him. Both sides negotiated for a long time, but did not come to an agreement. Shen Songsheng wanted a lot, because Fang Zheng was really important to Duke Long and Heavenly Court. Fang Yuan watched by the side as he gained a clearer understanding of the situation. The more Heavenly Court placed importance on Fang Zheng, the more likely he was troubled to Fang Yuan, and the greater Fang Yuan's killing intent became. He secretly spoke to Shen Songsheng. "In my opinion, you should contact Fang Yuan first and talk to him. He might give a higher price than Heavenly Court." But Shen Songsheng had already made up his mind. He replied, "Senior Qi Si ancestor, I am more willing to hand Fang Zheng over to Heavenly Court. Firstly, Heavenly Court is a righteous path force. It has a reputation to upkeep. It also needs a living Fang Zheng. But Fang Yuan only wants a dead Fang Zheng. He might not negotiate with me peacefully. Secondly, in terms of wealth and foundation, who in this world can match Heavenly Court? Shen Songsheng was a righteous path member after all. He had an innate barrier with the demonic path Fang Yuan. He was more willing to interact with Heavenly Court even though he was full of wariness against them. Fang Yuan saw that he could not convince him. He could not overdo this in case they found anything suspicious. He could only think of new plans. Duke Long became increasingly impatient. He had already spent all his effort negotiating with Fang Yuan earlier. It was not his usual way of handling things. Now that he also had to talk to Shen Tsongsheng, Duke Long felt an impulse to attack, but Fang Yuan was right beside him. Considering that Shen Tsongsheng and Qi Si ancestor were both Eastern Sea Gu immortals, Duke Long held down his urge to it this time. Fairy Ziwei gave Duke Long a piece of information. Duke Long heard it, and his eyes shined. This was an important bargaining chip. He quickly transmitted to Shen Tsongsheng. Shen Tsongsheng's expression changed. He cried out, "Really?" "Of course." Duke Long nodded. "How about that? The resources I mentioned earlier and this intel." Shen Tsongsheng agreed without hesitation. This made Fang Yuan and Song Qi Yuan feel surprised. They wondered what transaction those two had just done. Jiu Fang Zheng was handed over to Duke Long by Shen Tsongsheng on the spot. Fang Zheng had already fainted. Duke Long held on to him as he bid farewell to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could not make him stay. He had to say goodbye as well. The remaining two Eastern Sea immortals said the same thing. They invited Fang Yuan to be their guest in the clan. They promised to gift some resources to Fang Yuan as the compensation for destroying the immortal battlefield unintentionally. Fang Yuan nodded. He needed these two people to influence Eastern Sea's Gu immortal world. After agreeing on a time, Fang Yuan turned around and left. After flying for a while, he stopped at a certain cloud. From within the cloud, an immortal Gu house appeared. The Dragon Man clone walked out. Fang Yuan and his clone smiled at each other on this expedition to retrieve Dragon Palace in Eastern Sea. Even though there were many hurdles, nothing bad had happened in the end. His gains were even more than expected. Chapter 1847, Dream Token. This is Dream Token Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan inspected Dragon Palace. Dream Token was shaped like a dragonfly. It had a round head and long body, with a pair of pink ruby eyes and 4 pairs of transparent wings. Looking closely at its thin wings, one would also see a faint layer of rainbow halo. Fang Yuan felt a sense of joy in his heart. All along, he had been holding deep expectations towards Dream Path Immortal Gu. He had many Dream Path killer moves, but he still had 0 Dream Path Immortal Gu until now. For example, Unravel Dream used the Wisdom Path Immortal Gu Unravel Mystery. Fang Yuan used a large number of Dream Path Mortal Gu to replace the effect of the supposed Dream Path Immortal Gu. This caused Unravel Dream to expend a large number of Dream Path Mortal Gu each time in the initial period of getting Unravel Dream. Fang Yuan had laboriously refined those Dream Path Mortal Gu one by one. If he had a Dream Path Immortal Gu to replace them, he would not have had such trouble. Fang Yuan had always lacked a Dream Path Immortal Gu, but now, he finally had his first one, and it was actually the rank 8 Dream Token. Thinking back to the Dream Realm exploration, it was truly dangerous. I almost lost myself in it. The Dragon Man clone who was to the side sighed heavily. He still felt deep, lingering fear. If I had not sensed something amiss in advance, and secret set up Unravel Dream beforehand, and made it activate when I came out, I would have betrayed the main body already. Fang Yuan had always used Unravel Dream on the Dream Realm, but this time, he targeted himself. Dragon Palace was able to enslave rank 8s and create a new owner because of the power of the Dream Realm. Thus, when Fang Yuan's clone used Unravel Dream on himself, it was also targeting this problem, effectively solving it. Killer moves were fixed, but people could think. The exact use of Gu worms depended on the user's intentions. Of course, Unravel Dream itself could not deal with rank 8 level Dream Token. In this aspect, he had to thank the 4 Eastern Sea Gu immortals, including Granny Rong and Zhang Yin. Fang Yuan's main body nodded. This was truly the most difficult dream realm I have ever explored. But earlier when I used Luck Inspection, those azure purple chi were not a lie. They signified that you had a chance of becoming Dragon Palace Lord without losing yourself. Because Fang Yuan saw a chance of success, he let his clone enter the dream to try the test. If not for those azure purple chi, he would only fail regardless. Fang Yuan's main body would have taken action already to this moment. Fang Yuan and his clone had already finished communicating. They learned of each other's encounters during this period. Fang Yuan's main body critiqued. Dragon Palace's dream realm was very complex and deep because both body and soul went inside. It was normal that emotions were pulled and manipulated. The dreams within the dream also made one sink deeper and unable to awaken themselves. Externally, there was heavenly court's action. Had I not been careful, a huge battle would occur. The situation would go out of control rapidly. Even though these two Eastern Sea immortals looked harmless, they were not benign people. In the previous life, they had fought against Duke Long in order to obtain Dragon Palace. After Duke Long won, during the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention, they even joined with the other rank 8 Gu immortals to invade Hidden Dragon Cave. They had never given up on Dragon Palace. The truth was, Duke Long chose to negotiate because Qi Si Ancestor had incredible power, but he had also made considerations for this. Looking at the entire situation, Fang Yuan's trip was full of danger this time. It was like he was walking on a tightrope. Any carelessness, and he would lose complete control. But in the end, no actual danger happened. He kept control over the situation. This showed Fang Yuan's expertise in strategic planning. Firstly, he had a lot of experience in exploring dream realms. He was the #1 person in the world. Even though it was his clone who took action this time, Fang Yuan had given him methods like pure dream reality seeker transformation and unravel dream. Secondly, Fang Yuan constructed cooking luck pot. He could inspect luck. Fang Yuan had seen the azure purple qi personally and knew there was hope of success. That was why he gave it a go. Thirdly, Fang Yuan sent by Ning Bing and others to the River of Time and used myriad year flying warship to fight against 5-time path immortal Gu houses. He drew Heavenly Court's attention away. Next, by using schemes, he deceived Duke Long and meticulously balanced the forces of Eastern Sea and Heavenly Court, using both sides to his advantage. And finally, even if he failed, Fang Yuan would only lose a clone. His main body was safe and his foundation would be intact. Even if the Dragon Man clone betrayed him, Fang Yuan could use the connection between him and his clone to pursue and kill him. Forget about the rest. Just the luck path tracking methods could not be concealed by Dragon Palace. Because Dragon Palace was created during Red Lotus era, while luck path was created in the future by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Because of all these reasons, Fang Yuan was able to face Heavenly Court, Eastern Seas Gu Immortals, and the 4 Dragon Generals while showing great strength and control. He created a situation where he could advance or retreat at all. He had a great advantage. Throughout. Of course, the risks were high. If he lost the Dragon Man clone, Fang Yuan would lose all of his dream path methods. After all, Unravel Dream and Pure Dream Reality Seeker Transformation were with his clone. But he had to take the risk. How could any grand plan have no risk? And this was involving a rank 8 immortal Gu house like Dragon Palace. As for Wu Shuai's will, it did not exist. No could live in the dream realms for over 1,000,000 years. The Dragon Man clone had thought he was Wu Shuai for some time. It was the effect of Dream Token's modification, twisting his own will, causing the Dragon Man clone to think that he was Wu Shuai, having been revived. But how could Fang Yuan's will be so easily distorted? Even if he were deceived, he would sense it in the future and gradually wake up. Unless the Dragon Man clone stayed inside Dragon Palace all the time and imprisoned himself, subjecting himself to the effects of Dream Token. Wu Shuai's arrangements and considerations back then were truly meticulous. His effort was praiseworthy. After Fang Yuan's main body learned of the clone's encounter, he was moved and praised loudly. He was truly a formidable person. It was a pity that Wu Shuai failed. It was not that he lacked capability. Otherwise, how could he resist the pressure of the 10 great sects of Central Continent and develop South Flower Island properly? His talent and aptitude was very high. That was why his father nurtured him since he was a child. Afterwards, he even got picked by Green Anesthetic, finally becoming rank 8. Even though he received external help, his own strength was the foundation to everything. Regrettably, his enemy was too strong. Forget about Heavenly Court. Just Duke Long alone could wipe out the Dragon Man race. And behind Duke Long, there was still Star Constellation. The heavenly revelation that Dragon Men would reign supreme was the decree of the heavenly Tao. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was too fearsome. After assimilating her own will into heaven's will, she actually managed to twist the heavenly Tao. Precisely because of that, the three demon venerables who appeared after Star Constellation did not manage to destroy Heavenly Court. It was only Red Lotus Demon Venerable who managed to damage Fake Goo. Just this small accomplishment was already beyond the expectations of everyone. After all, Red Lotus Demon Venerable was not an otherworldly demon. Thus, Wu Shuai's defeat was predestined from the start. Even demon venerables failed. More so Wu Shuai. Wu Shuai could make sacrifices, but Heavenly Court had countless members who were willing to sacrifice too. Duke Long exterminated the entire Dragon Man race. Wasn't it a sacrifice? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable became one with the Tao. She sacrificed herself. From Wu Shuai's life, Fang Yuan's main body learned about the strength of Heavenly Court. This organization's foundation was just too deep. The Immortal Graveyard had countless slumbering rank 8s. After 1,000,000 years, Duke Long was still alive. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable, Duke Long, Fairy Ziwei, Chen Yi, and Thunder Ghost. True Monarch. All of these people were very influential and powerful. Today, the great power of Heavenly Court was already established. It suppressed everything in history. Even demon venerables could not defy it. Just this alone could make one feel suffocated. No wonder Shin Songsheng and Song Qi Yuan felt so wary. Looking at the earth trenches emerging and the 5 regions fusing, they got more anxious by the day. Fang Yuan wanted to overturn this current trend. Only by destroying fate, can I have any hope of eternal life. If I fail, will anyone feel moved when they hear of my story in the future? They would merely be moved. After inspecting Dragon Palace, Fang Yuan kept his clone in Dragon Palace in his immortal aperture. He summoned Shuai, Shi Cheng, and Imo Tan Sang. Fang Yuan used omnidirectional travel with them, rapidly leaving Eastern Sea. Ever since Fang Yuan annexed Qi Sea Grotto Heaven, the killer move Jade Flow Pearl stopped being effective. He had to use omnidirectional travel instead to move around. The ancient battle formation had its unique advantage too. Fang Yuan could naturally use Myriad Year Flying Warship to travel. This rank 8 Immortal Gu House was not slow at all, but it was currently fighting inside the River of Time. Even if Fang Yuan had it with him, he would not use it to travel. It was too eye-catching. Chapter 1848, Collating His Gains. 1848 Collating his gains inside the sovereign immortal aperture. A grand purple-gold palace floated in the air. Immortal killer move. Dreamy light smoke. The Dragon Man clone manipulated this immortal goo house, producing a large amount of dense smoke. Wherever the dense smoke went, it devoured everything. Fang Yuan used it as a test. He brought over an immemorial year beast. It could not resist as it growled while being overwhelmed by the dense smoke, vanishing without a trace. Gather. The Dragon Man clone willed. The dream path smoke shrunk back into Dragon Palace like a python returning to its cave. Everything that it had engulfed also naturally went into Dragon Palace. This was the dream path killer move that Fang Yuan had personally witnessed in his previous life. Back then, Dragon Palace produced dense smoke that corroded Heaven Overseeing Tower. Even though it had turned phantom, it was still hit point 1 skill to dominate the world. In this current period of time, the Gu Immortal World and even Heavenly Court lacked ways to deal with Dream Path methods. The effectiveness of Dream Path was immediate, but now that Fang Yuan personally used it, he realized that this dreamy light smoke was not a Dream Path offensive killer move as he had thought. It was used for capturing enemies instead. Like earlier, Dragon Palace only used this one move to capture an immemorial year beast that had rank 8 battle strength, suppressing it inside the palace easily. Dragon Palace was an enslavement path Immortal Gu House. Even though it had the rank 8 Dream Path Immortal Gu Dream token, its roots did not change. The killer move Dreamy Light Smoke was meant to assist with Dragon Palace's enslavement, by first capturing the target and trapping them, before enslaving them afterwards. Other than Dreamy Light Smoke, Dragon Palace also had 2 other Dream Path killer moves. Point 1 was called Dream Revelation. It had Wisdom Path effect, allowing a Gu Immortal to dream in their sleep and attain revelations. The other was called Dream Within Dream. It was a dream realm that allowed one to construct dream realms within dream realms. Like the time the Dragon Man clone explored the dream realm and became Wu Shuai, while Wu Shuai went into another dream to gain dream revelations. This was the power of dream within dream as for the dream realm that shrouded Dragon Palace earlier. It was the power of dream token itself. Fang Yuan considered it for a while. At his current stage, dreamy light smoke had the most practical use. Even though dream revelation was profound, it not only consumed immortal essence, but also heaven's will. That was to say, this killer move needed the participation of heaven's will. In Wu Shuai's case, he held the heavenly fate. Dragon men were meant to reign supreme. Thus, heavens will help the dragon men. It was okay for him to use this move. He would receive the guidance and assistance of the heavenly Tao, but Fang Yuan could not. Fang Yuan was an otherworldly demon. He was suppressed and targeted by heaven's will. All along, he had been enemies with heaven's will. He had a killer move called heaven's will dissipation. It was specially used to eliminate heaven's will. How could he expect heaven's will to help him? As for dream within dream, this killer move targeted dream realms instead of living beings. After activating it, it could form a deeper layer of dream realm within a dream realm. What use was that? It allowed one to modify dream realms. Wu Shuai used this to modify Dragon Palace's dream realm back, then creating a dream within a dream. When Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone explored it, he faced this type of dream constantly. Undeniably, this made the dream realm much more complex. It became easier for the explorer to lose themselves and succumb to the dream realm. What use did Fang Yuan have for it? In the short period of time, Fang Yuan's thoughts were on dream realm explorations. He could modify these dream realms to create a dream within a dream. These dreams within dreams were created by Fang Yuan. They belonged to him. In that case, he could construct a safe zone in the dream realm so that he could recuperate or recover in it. But the most important thing was dream token immortal goo. This immortal goo was similar to the soul beast token that Fang Yuan had. The former was a dream path goo worm that had enslavement path ability, while the latter was a soul path goo worm with similar enslavement path ability. Fang Yuan had already learned of the exact use of this rank 8 dream token immortal goo from the dragon spirit. Back then, Duke Long wanted to unleash Dragon Man extermination. Wu Shuai was not safe from it. But after a lot of hard work and experimentation, he had some gains. He could delay his death. Using his final bit of time, he activated Dream Token Immortal Good. He expended not just all of his rank 8 immortal essence, but also his emotions, memories, and wills. After he made his arrangements, he became extremely thin. Only a bit of his soul was left. In the end, he sat on his dragon throne. Because of the huge expenditure earlier, he died after a while. In the end, he sacrificed even himself to He contributed everything he had. Thus, currently speaking, the price of activating Dream Token Immortal Goo was huge. Wu Shuai was not killed by Dragon Man extermination. He died from using Dream Token. Fang Yuan evaluated secretly. He was an enslavement path Goo immortal at the peak of rank 8. He sacrificed himself to activate Dream Token and created this Dream Token Dream Realm. In the current era, the blessed land that Dragon Palace was hiding in got destroyed. It left and went into the bottom of the sea, subduing Granny Rong, Zhang Yin, and the other dragon generals. Even though it gained 4 rank 8 battle strength experts, the foundation of the Dream Realm fell greatly. So when the Dragon Man clone explored it, Dragon Palace's Dream Realm showed traces of weakness in some areas. The most obvious being Wind Cloud Manor and Black Heaven Temple. These 2 sects were part of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent. They were not sects that had existed 1,000,000 years ago during Red Lotus era. The Dream Realm could not display them properly. It had to rely on the Dragon Man clone's memories. This was a flaw. It indicated that the Dream Realm was already at its limit during that time. This means to say, by sacrificing a peak rank 8 Goo immortal like Wu Shuai, I can enslave 4 rank 8s and 1 rank 7. If this was the Dragon Palace Dream Realm in its complete form, the Dragon Man clone would likely still get modified even if he used Unravel Dream. Thus, he had to thank the 4 Eastern Sea rank 8 Goo immortals for using up a lot of the Dream Realm's power that if Dream Token was used alone, the user would die from using it, because this immortal Goo uses all of the Goo immortals foundation to create a Dream Realm. The size and power of the dream realm would depend on the situation and which Gu immortal was used to create the dream realm. Of course, rank 6 and 7 Gu immortals did not have rank 8 immortal essence. They could not use dream token immortal Gu in the first place, and rank 8 Gu immortals could not be forced to do it. They had to do it out of their own will. That means each activation of dream token immortal Gu would expend one rank 8 Gu immortal. This price was huge. Fang Yuan was not willing to try it. But in the future, when my dream path attainment level rises, I can use dream token immortal Gu as the core to create corresponding killer moves to limit dream token, to prevent it from draining the Gu immortal entirely, so as to create restricted dream realms. But it's not very useful. Fang Yuan thought about it. Dream token immortal Gu alone was not very useful to him. Even if he had killer moves to create dream realms in the future that would not kill the Gu immortal using it, Fang Yuan would still need to expend his own foundation, immortal essence, and soul foundation. But most importantly, his true meaning would also be converted and expended. This meant that Fang Yuan's attainment levels would fall. Without true meaning, the dream realm would just be a weak illusion. Precisely because dream realms contained true meaning, emotions could be used to trap a person in the dream realm. If the Gu master succeeds in exploration and ignores the interferences of emotions, they would gain true meaning and raise their attainment levels. But in the future, when dream realms become common everywhere, I can spend some attainment level to create a trap and plot against crucial people. I can turn them into my subordinates. My enemies will be caught unguarded. Dream token, dreamy light smoke, dream within dream, dream revelation. These were his dream path gains. For Fang Yuan, not all of them were practical, but they did cause his dream path abilities to skyrocket several times. In particular, these killer moves were part of the immortal Gu House Dragon Palace, making it very convenient for Fang Yuan to use them at will without much practice at all. Other than dream path, he had great gains in other areas too. The most obvious were the 4 dragon generals that included Zhang Yin and Granny Rong. Fang Yuan was happy to gain new rank 8 battle strength experts, for in fact, the accumulation of Wu Shuai and his Dragon Man race was all kept in Dragon Palace for the future. They were all now Fang Yuan's possession. These legacies were mostly contents related to enslavement path, but the most valuable ones were relating to the Qian Kuan Crystal Wall, Censure Peak, and Army Ant that Wu Shuai suppressed, and enslaved Calligraphy Pavilion Lady back then. He gained her immortal Gu House Calligraphy Pavilion. Wu Shuai found that the reason Calligraphy Pavilion was so strong was because there were many Qian Kuan crystal wall fragments stored inside. The Qian Kuan crystal wall was a secluded domain of heaven and earth. It was recorded within U003 CU003, see the legends of Ren 003 but it had always been in a state of fragmentation. Calligraphy Pavilion's Qian Kuan crystal wall fragments were just a portion of the original. The value of Censure Peak, to make a comparison, was similar to the incomplete Refinement C. The white-haired Lang Yalan spirit wanted to create the secluded domain of heaven and earth Refinement C. He paid a huge cost, but did not succeed. Censure Peak was already completed, yet it could only be considered on the level of an incomplete secluded domain of heaven and earth. It was inferior to Refinement C in essence. Army Ant was the true inheritance of Green Anesthetic. After Wu Shuai inherited it, he made good use of it. It was his main offensive method back then. As long as they grew to a certain number, they would have terrifying might. One would be able to fight a group of rank 8 Gu immortals alone. And finally there was Dragon Palace itself, the Dragon Spirit, and Enslavement Path attainment level. After the Dragon Man clone passed the Dream Realm, his Enslavement Path attainment level rose directly to Quasi-Supreme Grandmaster. Back then, Wu Shuai's Enslavement Path attainment level was merely 1 level away from Supreme Grandmaster, even though he had the bonus of a Dragonman's latent Enslavement Path talent. His aptitude was truly terrifying. Throughout history, there were countless heroes and geniuses that ascended the stage of fame. In the long river of history, there were countless shining stars that had their own dazzling light. Even though there were 10 venerables standing above them with unparalleled power, they did not lose their own unique colors. The gains were immense. Fang Yuan had basically inherited the legacy of the entire Dragon Man race. To process these gains, he would need countless years. Fang Yuan was a little helpless. He had limited time. He could only choose to utilize those that were helpful to him. Army. It was not going to be practiced now. This method was just icing on the cake. Fang Yuan already had the battle strength to fight an entire group of rank 8s alone. Furthermore, building an ant army from scratch would require an immense amount of resources. Qian Kuan Crystal Wall and Cincher Peak were foundations of information path. Fang Yuan lacked methods in this aspect. Earlier, he made Li Xiao by enter profound literature grotto heaven for this purpose as well. What made Fang Yuan feel slight regret was that Dragon Palace lacked Dream Path defensive methods. If it had any, in the current world where Dream Path was too advanced for the era, it would be even more powerful and useful than Winter Code and Reverse Flow Protection Seal. But thinking about the previous life, Fang Yuan could accept this fact. If Dragon Palace had such Dream Path defensive methods, it would not have been invaded by Duke Long. Chapter 1849, Ancestor of the New Dragon Man. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, the long-hair refinement path formation made a loud noise as a large amount of white lychee immortal essence was instilled. A huge flame that soared to the sky appeared. Within the raging flames, the Dragon Man clone sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was expressionless as if he had fallen asleep. Meanwhile, his body was beginning to melt away, resembling iron which had just begun to melt into liquid. This was naturally a painful thing, but the Dragon Man clone's soul had left the body in advance. It was standing beside Lang Yalan's spirit now. Fang Yuan's main body personally controlled the refinement path formation, while Lang Yalan's spirit, sixth hair, and the rest assisted him. Fang Yuan mobilized almost all of his refinement path manpower here. He was giving it his all. As the flames burned, the flesh and skin of the Dragon Man clone gradually swelled and blistered, and soon he was completely disfigured. It looked like colloids or bubbles that were about to pop completely. Be careful and hold steady. I'll leave this to you, Lang Yalan's spirit. Fang Yuan himself presided over the situation while giving out instructions. Lang Yalan's spirit nodded. Fang Yuan did not need to completely scorch and melt the Dragon Man clone. If he did so, it would be tantamount to killing him. What Fang Yuan needed was this current condition, where the Dragon Man clone had reached the limit of what he could bear, but was only on the verge of destruction that To maintained this state. The Gu Immortal had to manipulate the intense flames while paying close attention to the Dragon Man clone's condition. Fang Yuan passed this job to Lang Yalan's spirit. He had already turned into the white-haired land spirit who was stable and calm. He had deep refinement path experience that Fang Yuan could not compare to. This was the step that could not accept any careless mistakes. Fang Yuan was assured with Lang Yalan's spirit handling it. Next, Fang Yuan started to activate the refinement path formation as traces of lightning gathered. These lightning sparks were pitch black and thick like chopsticks. They crackled continuously. The lightning sparks entered the raging flames like they were entering empty space. They were completely unaffected by the flames. Under Fang Yuan's control, the lightning sparks stabbed into the Dragon Man clone's body, piercing through the lumps of blood and flesh, attaching themselves to the soft skeleton. The pitch-black lightning sparks fixed the skeleton in place as they slowly moved out, taking one of the Dragon Man clone's arm bones out along with them. The arm bone was not heat-resistant. It started to show signs of melting, but at this time, Sixth Hair, who was already prepared, activated the refinement path formation and sent out waves of bubbles. Fang Yuan quickly tossed the arm bone into the bubbles. The bubbles surrounded the arm bone and quickly flew up, getting out of the top of the raging flame. Hairy Mangu immortals were already waiting there. They prepared a pool of lightning plasma. The arm bone was put into the lightning plasma and got refined continuously. This was the first step. The second step, another Hairy Mangu immortal took over, placing the arm bone in a green current to wash it. The third step, others took charge. The arm bone was baked, washed, and cleaned. It shrunk greatly and got buried in a pile of soil made from pale white bone. Next, the refinement path formation used the power of time path to accelerate the time of the bone soil. The bone soil continued to be absorbed by the arm bone as it got smaller in size. The arm bone only absorbed half of the soil before it stopped. It was taken out. 3 steps were still waiting. This was an arm bone. while the Dragon Man clone had a total of more than 3,000 bones in his body. They were all going to be processed similarly. And this was just the bones. The Dragon Man clone's flesh, blood, brain, organs, fingernails, and hair, they all needed to be refined. This was an extremely tedious job. Fang Yuan alone had too low efficiency. That was why he mobilized all of his refinement path experts. Thankfully, even though the refinement of the Dragon Man clone was tedious, it was not hard. The biggest difficulty was that attention was needed at all times to maintain the Dragon Man clone's condition. Lang Yalan's spirit was in charge of this, so Fang Yuan felt assured. Following this process, after 3 days and nights in the sovereign immortal aperture, the long hair refinement path formation finally stopped. His bones were put back, his hair, blood, flesh, fingernails, organs, and brain were all refined properly. He was now immune to the Dragon Man extermination killer move. Back when Duke Long created the Dragon Man lifespan extension method, he used the profundity of transformation path, Qi path, and human path, but Fang Yuan did not lack expertise in these 3 aspects now. Furthermore, Fang Yuan's refinement path foundation was something Duke Long could never match up to. And with his wisdom path ability, if given enough time, Fang Yuan would definitely be able to break the killer move Dragon Man extermination. There were no killer moves that could not be broken. It was just that a gradual process was necessary. A long time was needed to continuously attempt trial and error. After gaining Dragon Palace, Fang Yuan obtained the research results of the Dragon Man experiments. It helped him greatly. In fact, Wu Shuai was very close to success back then. Even though he did not truly break Dragon Man extermination killer move, he had conceptualized many ideas. He just lacked time to experiment on them. During the final period before Dragon Man extermination, the Dragon Man Gu immortals cooperated with Wu Shuai. They placed their immortal apertures in Central Continent as test locations. They tried all these methods respectively. They were spreading the seeds of hope. The Dragon Man blessed land that Fang Zheng encountered was one of them. Of course, it was not from the first batch of blessed lands. The Dragon Man Gu immortals that appeared in the blessed lands had placed their own immortal apertures, taking the place of the previous generation each time. Fang Yuan did not know how many generations had gone by. He did not care either. But he used this precious information to deduce which was the most likely plan to succeed from all of the methods that Wu Shuai had conceptualized. Information regarding the matters involving Fang Zheng was obtained by Fang Yuan after Shinsong Sheng gave him the results of his soul search. Shinsong Sheng did not know how precious this information was. He was basically handing Fang Yuan the solution. Fang Yuan had the ability and clues to finally modify the Dragon Man race. From this day onwards, the Dragon Man clone would be completely immune to the killer move Dragon Man extermination. Of course, that was only Duke Long's Dragon Man extermination. If Fang Yuan created one himself, the Dragon Man clone would still be affected by it. After all, Fang Yuan had personally created the new Dragon Man clone. He knew everything about it at this point. His work was not done. Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone soul had adapted to the original Dragon Man body. Thus it was also under the influence of Duke Long's Dragon Man extermination killer move. Therefore, he had to modify the Dragon Man clone's soul next. There was no need to use the refinement path formation for this. Fang Yuan had a vast number of soul path methods. Dealing with the soul was much easier than the body. Coincidentally, the Dragon Man clone soul foundation needed to be improved anyway, so Fang Yuan temporarily put the Dragon Man clone in the soul, expending myriad guts formation to cultivate. Soul foundation was the foundation of enslavement path. Currently, Dragon Palace had enslaved the 4 dragon generals. It was the limit. To enslave more living beings, the Dragon Palace Lord would need to sustain it with their soul. Noting this, Fang Yuan started to understand why the dragon spirit acknowledged by Ning Bing in the previous life. It must have been an emergency back then. Dragon Palace needed by Ning Bing's soul to split the burden and enslave evil dragon Di Zongsheng. The dragon spirit can control Dragon Palace to begin with. It is similar to heavenly spirits and land spirits. It can acknowledge a master and exist indefinitely. Of course, one needs to have Dragon Man identity and the aspiration to develop the Dragon Man race in order to gain the dragon spirit's acceptance. Thinking so, Fang Yuan smiled. Developing the Dragon Man race was not impossible. Fang Yuan had already started to raise variant humans on a large scale. One was to comprehend human path, another was to manage the immortal aperture, and finally, to try and obtain the variant human inheritances. Whether he would develop Dragon Men or not, was there a difference to him? No. Of course, Fang Yuan was going to raise his new Dragon Man race. He would definitely not develop the old Dragon Man race. Therefore, in a way, Fang Yuan was now the ancestor of the new Dragon Man race, Heavenly Court. Cared about race, it was their basis. But Fang Yuan did not care. What if Dragon Men reigned supreme? Fang Yuan did not care about that at all. His only goal was eternal life. If developing the Dragon Man race could help him achieve this goal, then he would do it. If they obstructed him in the future, he would eliminate them. It was so simple. If becoming a Dragon Man meant he could achieve eternal life, Fang Yuan would immediately abandon his human identity and change sides, even if countless people took pride in their human status. The Dragon Man clone lacked a name? He would be called Wu Shui then. Fang Yuan was completely fine with that. The Dragon Man clone started to cultivate and modify his soul. The Time Path clone was still using the light of wisdom to make endless deductions. The Dream Path clone was still waiting. Fang Yuan originally wanted Dragon Palace to help the Dream Path clone with his tribulation, but after obtaining it, he realized Dragon Palace had no Dream Path defensive killer moves. This made Fang Yuan's plan flop. If there were to be a Dream Path tribulation, how would Fang Yuan defend against it? Even Reverse Flow Protection Seal would be useless at that time. There was a way, which was to use Dream Token Immortal Goo as the core to deduce a usable Dream Path killer move. But this move had to be rank 8. Fang Yuan had Wisdom Path attainment, but his Dream Path attainment level had not even reached Master. This was troublesome that he would need to spend a lot of time and effort. Fang Yuan thought about it and decided to defer this. He was not going to give Heaven's Will a chance to plot against him. Chapter 1850. Making Arrangements in Eastern Sea. Eastern Sea. Shun Clan Headquarters. Purple Rosewood Myriad Sparrow Island. Shin Clan First Supreme Elder Shin Tsongsheng said with enthusiasm. Senior Chi Si, this is the 6th sound tea from my Shin Clan. Please enjoy. Fang Yuan nodded as he looked at the cup in front of him. 6 sound tea was the signature tea of Shin Clan. It was incredibly famous in the 5 regions. It was superior compared to Spirit Affinity House's Qingpu tea, Myriad Dragon Doc's Dragon Shadow tea, Southern Border Qiao Clan's Bewitching tea, and Fang Clan's 7-leaf fragrant tea. 6 sound tea was not drunk in just one cup. It was a set of 6 teacups. These 6 cups of tea had very specific details when it came to the brewing process. Temperature, cup used, sequence of drinking, and exact way to drink. Fang Yuan first held the first cup. This tea was crystal clear. It was like the sky devoid of clouds, extremely pure and intact. Autumn would sound. Fang Yuan thought to himself as he savored the tea. The moment he drank it, he felt refreshed as his mind became clear. It was pure and cleansed. It was as if he had turned into a carefree flying bird or a cool breeze, moving casually in the autumn skies. After a moment, Fang Yuan drank the second cup of tea. Cloud flow sound. This tea had a special texture. It was soft as cotton, unlike normal tea. It melted when it entered the mouth, turning into a slightly cold stream of water that flowed down his throat. It was drunk in one mouthful without doubt. After the tea went into his stomach, faint fog started to appear on his tongue, throat, and intestines. This dense tea fog filled his body and even permeated to his internal organs. Good tea. After savoring it for a while, Fang Yuan went on to the third cup. This tea was called River Mournful Cry. The tea was held in a long cup. The tea inside was not calm. There were slight ripples in it. This looked like a miniature river. Fang Yuan poured the tea into his mouth as he felt an incredibly profound feeling. He forgot about himself. He felt like a river that had gone through countless twists and turns. After much turmoil, he entered Eastern Sea in the end. Autumn would sound. Cloud flow. Sound. River mournful cry. Jade harp. Phoenix cry. Hibiscus laughter. These 6 cups were excellent tea if drank on their own. But the most amazing thing was that they were interlinked. After Fang Yuan drank all 6 of them, he felt dazed as an incredibly indescribable feeling engulfed his 5 senses. He was deeply entranced. By the time he came back to his senses, 2 hours had passed. Good tea. Fang Yuan praised extensively after the experience. Even though I live in seclusion, I have heard of the 6-sound tea's reputation. Today, I have truly experienced it for myself. It lives up to its name. Seeing that Fang Yuan was satisfied, Shen Clan's first supreme elder, Shun Tsung, became incredibly happy as he laughed. Getting Senior Chi Si's praise was worth the 3 days and nights of preparation by my clan's Gu immortals. 6-sound tea was made of immortal materials. Only Gu refinement experts among Gu immortals could make it. To refine an entire set of the 6-sound tea, Shun Tsung even had to be involved himself. This tea had different levels of ingredients that could be used. Since Shun Tsung was refining it, he used the top-grade ingredients, expending a large amount of rank 8 immortal materials. Rank 8 immortal materials were expensive. Using them to refine Gu was normal, but he was using them for tea now. After Fang Yuan drank it, there was nothing left. This was truly a luxury, but it showed how enthusiastic Shun Tsung was about hosting Fang Yuan. After drinking the tea, Shun Tsung invited Fang Yuan to tour this purple rosewood myriad sparrow island. This island itself was a giant resource point. The island was not made of soil or rock. It was an immemorial desolate plant, sea-suppressing purple rosewood. The purple rosewood was rooted at the bottom of the sea. Its crown grew above the water. The branches intertwined into this island. Countless species lived on this island. They were mostly sparrows. When these sparrows cry, the branches of the purple rosewood would shake and emit wonderful sounds. These sounds would spread far and wide, calming the surrounding seas. The sea here was calm and tranquil like a mirror. There was no wind in the sky at all. This was the reason for this sea-suppressing purple rosewood's name. Shun Tsung warmly attended to Fang Yuan for 2 whole days. He personally accompanied him the entire time, while sometimes also inviting a few of the female Shen clan immortals to serve Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan talked to him very harmoniously. Before leaving, Shun Tsung presented gifts to him with both hands. These gifts were very valuable. Not only were there a large amount of immortal materials, there were even 2 stalks of ancient desolate plant sea-suppressing purple rosewood. Shen Clan's sea-suppressing purple rosewood was an immemorial desolate plant. It could only produce a special branch every 800 years. Grafting these branches would allow one to grow an ancient-level sea-suppressing purple rosewood. Even though the sea-suppressing purple rosewood had many branches, the rest of its branches could not be grafted for this purpose. These 2 stalks of sea-suppressing purple rosewood were not just ancient desolate plants. They were 2 large-sized resource points in order to befriend Qi Si ancestor. Shun Tsung invested a lot, much more than Song Qi Yuan. Before coming to Shen Clan, Fang Yuan already went to Song Clan and received Song Qi Yuan's welcome and hospitality. After these 2 trips, my reputation should have spread in Eastern Sea. No, it should have spread in all 5 regions. Fang Yuan thought to himself. Fang Yuan's Qi Si ancestor identity was destined to be renowned in the world. This was decided the moment he fought toe-to-toe against Duke Long next. I will wait for the reactions of Eastern Sea's other super forces. They will all invite me to visit them. Fang Yuan planned that it seems that for this period of time, his main body was going to attend banquets everywhere. This was what Fang Yuan wanted. Eastern Sea was rich with resources, but it lacked a unified voice. It did not have a leader that had great aspirations or foresight. In the 500 years of his previous life, Eastern Sea was suppressed by the other regions. In this life, even though Eastern Sea mobilized several rank 8s to act together, they only went after Dragon Palace. They did not have thoughts of attacking Heavenly Court or Emperor City. Eastern Sea was not like Southern Border, which had Wu Clan. It had the formidable character Wu Yong. It was not like Northern Plains, which had Longevity Heaven. And it was not like Central Continent, which had Heavenly Court. Eastern Sea was quite like Western Desert, but Western Desert Gu immortals were used to working together. Their resources were also much poorer compared to Eastern Sea. In Fang Yuan's memories, Eastern Sea had never done anything outstanding. Even though Eastern Sea's super forces had deep foundations, while their lone immortals were also much richer than those in the other 4 regions, but they were too disunited. What if a strong leader appeared? What if they had a unified voice? A person like Qi Si ancestor who cultivated Qi path. He had no conflict with Eastern Sea's super forces or even most of the Gu immortals in terms of resources. He even had battle strength on the level of Duke Long. This was his greatest foundation in intimidating the rest. Could Qi ancestor successfully become the leader of Eastern Sea? Of course, Fang Yuan did not expect Eastern Sea's super forces to listen and obey his arrangements. That was not realistic. But to become the alliance leader in name, it was possible. Weren't Shen Songsheng and Song Qi Yuan thinking about this? They wanted to make sure Qi ancestor stayed with Eastern Sea. In the future, when war starts, they would be able to gain his protection. But they did not know that Fang Yuan wanted this too. Even if he was just an alliance leader in name, and could not interfere in the super force's internal affairs, as long as he could influence Eastern Sea's Gu immortal world, Fang Yuan's goal would be achieved. Don't forget that 4 rank 8 lone immortals of Eastern Sea, Zhang Yin, Granny Rong, and the others, were already Dragon Palace's dragon generals. With their support and Fang Yuan's status as the alliance leader, he would exert great influence. Forget about the rest. Just during the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention, when Heavenly Court tries to repair fake Gu, Fang Yuan could lead Eastern Sea and use its power in an appropriate setting. Eastern Sea's rank 8s wanted to gain Fang Yuan's favor. Not only were they hospitable, they even gave him expensive gifts. Even during normal times, Qi ancestors' battle strength and stance would already make them want to win him over. Now, with the earth trenches emerging and the 5 regions merging into one, it was even more necessary. Dragon Palace dived into the sea and descended until it reached the bottom of the sea. This sea area seemed very ordinary, but after Dragon Palace waited for a while, the Dragon Man clone's voice resounded from within. Dragon Palace has arrived. Where is Gu tribe? His voice spread out and reverberated in the depths of the sea. The Dragon Man clone waited patiently. After some time, the scenery in the sea changed as an entrance opened, showing a blessed land that was hidden inside. A rank 8 Gu immortal walked out and looked at Dragon Palace with an alert gaze that had traces of excitement in it. He cupped his fist. I am the 39,767th Gu tribe leader. Who is the current owner of Dragon Palace? Fang Yuan's Dragon Man clone walked out. I am Wu Shuai. The expression of Gu tribes shook. He asked, what relationship do you have with Fang Yuan? The Dragon Man clone laughed heartily. Mutual cooperation. Without Fang Yuan's help, how could I have revived? Gu tribe's leader nodded. He was not surprised. News of Duke Long, Fang Yuan, as well as the fight between Qi ancestor and Duke Long, had already spread far and wide. The Dragon Man clone had a solemn expression. The world is changing rapidly. The crucial moment is arriving. Gu tribe leader, will your tribe still uphold our agreement from 1,000,000 years ago? Gu tribe's leader smiled. He did not reply immediately. We need to discuss this matter deeply. Senior Wu Shuai, please come in. Saying so, he gave way.